All right, welcome back to part two. Here I'm going to show you some techniques for painting with the tape. We're using acrylic paint. The brushes, obviously, I have a little cup of water, not tea or coffee, and just a little tray here to put my paint. So just to review how we got to this point, you can use your tracing paper, right? If you have your experiments on here. So, right, you do your bunch of progressions here. Do like a square, bigger square, even bigger square, right? Obviously do some more that are, more a little more thought out, a little more, obviously, rulers, things like that. But this is your guide here, right? So you can use this. It's one of them. Flip that over, and then remember to put the ink down, and then press in with the pencil, and you'll get some of these designs laid out right here. So use your frog tape. I put it down here. And then you're just gonna use your blade, your X-Acto blade. And since it's see-through, which is awesome, I'm just gonna show you. So this is one that I already did. See how it comes off really even there, right? Just gonna use a piece of tape here on another one that I was doing. Just put it down there. Then it'll just come right up. There you go. With the blade and everything, you'll get just a really smooth edge. Just gonna put some acrylic paint in here. Make sure you don't use a ton of it at one time, because once it dries out, you can't use it again. So don't like work for 20 minutes and then have like a huge glob, because you're gonna start wasting paint. Maybe just start with like a little bit at a time. And I should have a paper towel here. I'll be right back. Sorry, just had to run to the kitchen to get paper towel. So have paper towel, little ink tray. I like to kind of wet my brush just a little bit here. Not like crazy. You don't want to dump water in here and have it be watery, but just a little bit. See, it'll kind of loosen up the paint. One thing I would say before I do this is just get like a piece of illustration board, because you'll have extra from cutting this out, this square. And like use a piece. You can see I did like a trial run here, and just kind of maybe draw your progression out on here. Maybe do, like just a grid of one of your designs. So you can get the feel for, flipping this over, tracing it on, that sort of thing. And then do the tape on here, right? And just kind of do, a couple experiments. That way, by the time you get to your final one here, you have the feel for the material. And so you're not going into your final one that you gridded out and drew out and everything. You're not going into it kind of new with the material. So like I've done this a bunch, so I can go and just kind of fill it in. It's more intuitive for me now, but for all of you who are doing this for the first time, just experiment and get the feel for it, so you don't go into your final project and, you know, mess it up with the work that you put into gridding it out. If you do mess up, it's not the end of the world. Just let me know. We'll make some sort of accommodation. I don't want you to, you know, spend all this time on something and then mess it up and then think it's the end of the world. It's not. It's just acrylic paint on board, and we'll work something out. But figure out how to do it the best way possible, with that being said. So be careful, plan things out, you know, focus on your craft, and just definitely make it as clean as you can get it. So here I'm just gonna get my brush. You can see it doesn't take long at all to just fill in a little square here. All right, so there's a couple different ways of doing this. Taping it off is a great option. You know, you could tape off a whole row, cut it out, fill it in, wait for this row to dry, and then, you know, maybe move on to another row down here, right, while this row is drying a little bit. This is another design I was doing just as an example. Circles might be a little harder to cut out. Any curved shapes are going to be a little more complex, but as you can see, it's not that bad, you know, as long as you have that drawing underneath of it to support it, you'll be good. So here's another one here. See, it doesn't take that long. Maybe while this one's drying out, go and work on a different row. Don't glob the paint on there. You want it to be pretty even. You can see I'm kind of, you don't have to be super careful either. That's the good part about the tape, because it's just gonna go on the tape. But if you're not using tape for some parts, then obviously you're gonna have to go a little slower. There we go. And acrylic paint only takes about, like, this is almost dry. Yeah, I rubbed my finger on it here and there's nothing really. So that was, you know, 2 minutes probably in between, or not even. And then I can just go and peel this off here. This is the best part, when you peel it off, because you get a really cool, nice shape. Look at that, see? So you can already see getting a nice progression here. Same with some ones here. This one I painted around just to show you like positive and negative options. And then I'll just wait for this one to dry. You can blow on it a little bit. Speed it up. I'll just peel it off. There you go. So as you can see, with using the acrylic paint and just leaving this background white, you'll get some really great contrast in your designs. And if you think about any of these like being dispersed throughout your whole project, it's gonna look really cool when everything is done and you're getting those nice crisp edges. When you're done, there's gonna be some faint grid outlines here or pencil lines. Just erase those, so you'll be left with just you'll be left with just the black and white ink. I mean, paint essentially. And it should look pretty awesome. This project takes time. Um, you have 2 weeks to do it as of now. So, space it out. I mean, you could do something like a row a day, or 2 rows a day, depending on how long. I mean, depending on your design, it might take, you know, 30 minutes to do a row or something, or two. Multiply that times 9. And, it's going to take time, but I wouldn't suggest leaving it to the last minute, because then you're going to be rushed and you're going to maybe spill some ink and then blah, blah, blah. You always want to leave room for some error with anything you do, because there's always some variables that are going to be unaccounted for, especially if you haven't done this before. So you want to give yourself more time for those little errors and that room for experimentation too. So I think that's about it. As always, message for questions. Just take your time. Make sure your brushes don't dry out. Leave them in water. And I think that's it. So I hope you all get a lot out of this. Enjoy the project and make those clean lines. So that's all.